Hey guys, what the fuck is up, you guys? My name is eMandan642, and welcome to the closest thing you're gonna get to a review. This is the first quality video that I've made for a long ass time, so sorry for not making any reviews or any good quality videos, let alone videos in general. I just didn't feel like it. So I played a lot of games this year. And this is a ranking of every single one of them from worst to best. Not exactly an E-Man Awards or Asinator Awards, but close enough. Some of these games I've already made reviews for, and so I won't talk about them too in-depthly, just for a minute or two. And some of these games are shorter and older games, so I don't really have that much to say. Also, I played a lot of games from specific series, so expect that. So without further ado, this is every single game I've played in 2021. This game is not only the worst game I've played this year, it is the worst game I've ever played. This game is an unfinished, glitchy, at times unplayable mess. The previous Drawn to Life game came out 12 years ago, and it ended the series. This game is completely pointless. It wasn't made for money, since it was only $10, and Drawn to Life isn't a very profitable series. It wasn't made for the love of the series, which is very evident from the game. This game completely gets rid of everything that made the first two games good. The fun platforming was replaced by shitty puzzle levels. The good story was replaced by... shit. It's all shit. Don't play this game. It's not worth it. This game is fine. It's not bad by any means, it's just okay. There really isn't a point to playing this game since it was just remade into Superstar and later Superstar Ultra, but this game is still okay. The gameplay's fun, but is severely lacking compared to any other Kirby game. For what it is, it was enjoyable. This was my first time playing the entirety of Super Mario Bros. In one go without skipping any levels. There really isn't much to say about it. It's a classic game with good gameplay and levels, but it's Mario 1. It was fun. While playing it, I attempted to speedrun it to the best of my ability, and that was quite fun, but that's all I really have to say about it. Mario 2 is better. Still not that good, but it's better. I like this game for its originality and what it introduced to the series, but this game is very annoying and frustrating. I like it better than Mario 1, but I would rarely go back to this game instead of the first. Drawn to Life is a significantly better game than Two Realms, but this game still isn't that good. The drawing aspect was charming, but it wasn't utilized that great. The levels were long, boring, and not that good. Some of them were fun, but some were really bad. The bosses sucked. Only one of them was decent, the rest were shit. The one great thing about this game was its characters and dialogues. The characters were not that in-depth or anything, but they were all very unique and charming. I really liked the interactions we had between them. That's something the next chapter was greatly lacking in compared to this game. I haven't played that many Sonic games, but Sonic Rush is my favorite. Its sequel, Adventure, was not that great. The gameplay was as fun and as fast-paced as Rush's was. I really like how these games play. They're very fun. And this game is not that different, except for a few notable annoying acts. But the problem with this game is the adventure part. It tries to have this story with this new character, Marine, but she is awful and annoying, and so is the story. The game would constantly interrupt you before going into any zone to bother you with pointless cutscenes. The gameplay is really fun and I just wanted to play the game, but I hated those cutscenes. To get to a new zone, you needed to draw a path on this map and play this minigame of sorts to get there. The minigame was fine, it wasn't that bad, but I'd rather not do it. It just got very repetitive. When you had to build a new ship and sail, you needed to get new materials, and if you didn't have enough, you would have to go back to earlier stages and get more. Backtracking. Why is there backtracking in a Sonic game? I would just replay the bosses because they were the shortest and they were genuinely very fun, but I still didn't like to go back. I have not played Rayman 2, but I would really like to. This game isn't that great of quality in the technical aspect. The levels were all pretty good, but this game was very off-putting and didn't feel right. The combat and bosses were laughably easy, but the platforming and exploration was pretty good at times. I enjoyed this game, but I feel like playing the original or the GameCube version would be a lot better of an experience. I love The Legend of Zelda, but the first game is very frustrating. There is something about this game that can't be replicated in any other game, and I like that about the game. It's extremely dated, but it feels timeless. Playing this game without a guide is a death sentence though. To me, playing with a guide takes something away from the game, but for these cryptic ass old games, you're going to need it. This game was quite enjoyable despite all of its issues. I'd say it's probably one of the worst Zeldas, but even the worst is worth something. Much like Zelda 1, this game is very cryptic and bullshit, with the added benefit of it being hard as shit. I played this game on the Switch online and abused my power of the rewind feature, but this game was still hard as shit. For the most part, it wasn't even a good challenge, it was just bullshit hard. That being said, there was something I really enjoyed about this game. I don't know what it was. Much like Mario 2, I like this game a lot better than the first one, because it's different. It left me feeling very frustrated, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. Round Zeroes is barely a game at all. It's only about an hour long and just a prologue to the Phantom Pain, but this game was released as its own game, so I'll treat it as such. For what it is, this game is fun as fuck, and is an excellent introduction to Metal Gear Solid 5. The whole area in this game is cool, and is something I wish we saw more of in the Phantom Pain. The reason why this game is so low, despite it being so good, again, is because it's only an hour long, and it's just the introduction to 5. This game's fun. There's not much to say about the game. Good platforming. Levels range from being very unique and fun to slightly annoying. Final boss is kind of annoying unless you have all of his moves memorized and have Diddy. Still a very enjoyable game. This game is really good. I'm not a huge fan of the 2D Mario games, but Mario 3 is a really fun game. Despite being 30 years old and releasing on the NES, this game still feels fresh and enjoyable. Only problem is the levels are really short. This game was very good and I really wish they were longer. We got a whole lot of Mario on this list. Prior to playing Paper Mario, the only other Mario RPG I've played was Sticker Star, and that game was pretty stinky. But Paper Mario is exactly what you'd expect from a Mario RPG. The story is basic but well told. The world has a certain charm to it that is very enjoyable, a charm that wasn't there in the following Paper Mario games. Paper Mario is a pretty basic RPG with its main deal being about the timed attacks, which adds a little more skill into the turn-based combat. It's pretty simple, but it can be tricky to master. 2D Mario. Mario World is a very good game. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the 2D Marios, but this game was very fun. The world is really cool and the levels were all really interesting and fun. Kirby is pretty cool, and I like the 2D Kirby games a lot more than the Mario games. This was the first actual good Kirby game, and it is very good. It plays, looks, and sounds very good for being on the NES, but that's because it came out in 1993, after the SNES came out. This game introduces the copy abilities that are now the staple Kirby power-up system. It has some kinks that would later be patched out, but the copy abilities were for the most part great. The levels are pretty standard Kirby levels, but it's Kirby's Adventure. Apollo Justice was the game that marked the change in Ace Attorney, from the original trilogy to the sequel trilogy, and in this game, shifting from Phoenix Wright to the new lawyer in town, Apollo Justice. This game has some issues when it comes to the new batch of cases. The cases in this game were definitely lacking compared to the ones that came before. The first case was quite cool, and a very good introduction to the series after 7 in-game years. Sadly, that was the best case. The second, and for the most part third cases were both filler, and the fourth case was kind of a mess with some really good ideas, but some dumb ones too. The Legend of Zelda's first portable outing was quite impressive. This game is quite great for being on the Game Boy. It doesn't have as much to explore or as many things to do as in other games, but it was definitely a Zelda game. And I love my Zeldas, so I enjoyed it quite a bit. The dungeons were nothing too special, but each one was very well designed. Everyone already knows about the ending, but I won't spoil it if you don't. All I'll say is that it was very emotional, and I'd say one of the best endings in Zelda. Sonic 3 and motherfucking Knuckles is by far the best classic Sonic game. This game had overall the best zones. Almost every one of them is great. I played the version with both games, so it was the ultimate experience. It was quite a long game for a Sonic game, but man, it was really fun. This game improves upon almost everything that made Paper Mario good. I like the story, gameplay, characters, and area of this game a lot better. The gameplay and battles are a lot better and have a lot more options, which is great. But this game can also be a pain in the ass. Chapter 2 has the annoying punies, Chapter 3 is so repetitive that it's unfun, Chapter 4 has somewhat annoying backtracking, and Chapter 4 has that annoying scavenger hunt, but the rest of the game was very good. Sonic Rush is the best Sonic game, fuck you. Well, at least for the 6 Sonic games I've played. This game is so fast and thrilling. Each zone is memorable with great music and platforming. Rush is really short, but it counteracts that by having 2 different campaigns, Sonic's and Blaze's. All it changes is the order of stages, but the stages are so good that it doesn't matter. Replaying them is so fun. Blaze is a really cool character, and it's neat to see the story from 2 different perspectives. Unlike the 2D Mario games, I really like the 3D games. 64 is a pain with the controls and the camera, but I still really liked it. Sunshine is a really odd game compared to the others. The entire game takes place on a tropical island, and the gameplay revolves around this game's gimmick, being the Flood Pack, that allows you to shoot water and hover over the air. The gameplay for the most part is quite fun, using Flood well. At its peak, this game is very good and easily the most unique Mario game. But at its worst, the gameplay can be very bad and frustrating. The Steel Yard stage was a pain in the ass. I never bothered with the Pachinko stage, and everybody knows about the shitty final stage. It's a mixed bag of shrines. Most are good, but there are more than a few stinkers. Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker is the bridge between Snake Eater and the Phantom Pain, telling Big Boss's story of his MSF days. It's also the bridge between Guns of the Patriots and Phantom Pain, where the gameplay took more of a focus and changed to its mission format. I think Peace Walker is the weakest of the main Metal Gear Solid games. Its story was lacking compared to the numbered games, but I still enjoyed it. The gameplay was more similar to the Phantom Pain than in previous games. The campaign was split up into missions, and you have a base where you place captured soldiers and develop weapons and items and all. The campaign still has a linear structure of the prior games, but it's in mission format. I really liked everything to do with Mother Base, but it didn't really feel that useful in this game. There are some really great ideas, but they wouldn't be fully realized until the Phantom Pain. This game is definitely worth playing, plus there's a lot of lore that's central to Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain. This is the Zelda game that truly formed Zelda to what it is. A Link to the Past has all the great qualities from the first 2 games, as well as many new ideas and concepts that would become staples in Zelda. A Link to the Past has a great adventure with great dungeons and side quests. Everything about this game is great, but it's not as good as some of the future games would be, in my opinion. It's a standard Zelda adventure, but it's executed so well. I love Zelda and all its games, and this one is definitely very high up. This game was very hard to place on this list for several reasons. Yume Nikki is the most surreal game I have ever played. This game is a literal fever dream. The gameplay is just walking. It's all just walking. Objectively, this game is not good. You just walk around aimlessly until you find pointless items, but this game is an experience. A beautiful experience. This game is a work of art that you have to play to understand. Each area has incredible visuals and sound that makes you feel a certain way. It's one of the few games I've played in one sitting. I played it for 4 hours straight and it was great. There are a lot of cool events to trigger and keep the game interesting, but aside from that, It's an amazing spectacle that will require a lot of patience. Super Paper Mario is a Mario game with a great story and decent gameplay. The previous Paper Mario games are great and fun RPGs, and the following games are just shells of RPGs, but this game is a platformer. A standard 2D platformer with 3D as well as RPG elements. The gameplay is decently fun, but where this game really shines is its surprisingly great story. A story about love, tragedy, and loss. It's a surprisingly dark story for a Mario game. Super used new and old characters as well, making Luigi, Bowser, and Peach actually important, but using so many new characters too. And aside from the party, there's not a single standard Mario enemy character like there were in other games. Every character is brand new, except for some other Paper Mario games like Merlin, or basic enemies that are just enemies. The chapters in Super are all, for the most part, very good, and progress the story along until the game's great final chapter and ending. Mario, but in space. 3D Mario is really good, and Mario Galaxy is really good. All the levels and stages are all top-notch and memorable. The gameplay and movement is fluent and works great for the game's mechanics. The stages are so well constructed with the space elements. I love the bigger stages in 64 or Odyssey better, but this game does so well with what it is.